They don't want you to say sorry. They want you to bow down. The moment you say, "I'm sorry," they don't feel better. They feel powerful. And once they know you will kneel, they will make you do it again and again. A smart man named Machiavelli warned us about this. He said, "Never give your enemies a reason to think they beat you. Never hand them your guilt, because once you do, they own the story. And when they own the story, they own you." You think saying sorry clears the air, but you are actually writing a script. A script where you are the bad guy and they are the victim. They will replay your apology. They will quote it. They will use your regret against you in places you will never see. Machiavelli understood that people saying they forgive you is fake. People don't forget. They pretend to forgive while planning to make you unimportant. That's why he never said sorry. He didn't confess. He changed the subject. He didn't admit. He moved around it, not because he had no shame, but because he understood one hard truth. The moment you bow down, they learn how low you will go. So be careful. Before you say, "I'm sorry," ask yourself, am I buying peace or selling my power? Because once your power is gone, you don't get it back. And those people who demand you say sorry, they are not looking to make things better. They are hunting for your weakness, and Machiavelli would rather be feared than ever be forgiven. The truth about apologies: people say that saying sorry shows you are strong. They say it proves you are mature, aware, and grown up. But ask yourself this: if apologies are so great, why do they so often leave you weaker? You have seen it, you felt it. You say sorry, and instead of peace, you get punished. You bend down, and they don't thank you. They push harder. You lower your voice, and they raise theirs. That is not fixing things. That is them taking over. Machiavelli would have warned you. In the game of power, most people don't want your apology, they want your position, and your apology is the perfect tool to take it, because when you say, "I'm sorry," you are doing more than admitting a mistake. You are giving up control. You are saying, "We're guilty." Even when being guilty isn't the real issue, you are saying their version of the story is right and deleting your own. And here is the cold truth. Once you admit fault, you no longer control how people see things. They do, and they will stretch it, twist it, and use it to change how people see you. You think you are calming things down. They see you as running away. You think you are being honest. They see you as exposed and weak. You think you are building trust. Machiavelli didn't care about feeling better emotionally. He cared about how people saw him, because how people see you creates loyalty, fear, and control. When a leader makes a mistake, Machiavelli didn't say to apologize. He said to act fast, shift the blame, change how the story is told, control what people see. Because once you look weak, even if you're right, you have already lost the story. And the story is everything. Society teaches you wrong. Modern society makes apologies seem romantic and beautiful. It teaches you to speak from your heart and forget about what happens after. But Machiavelli's world, the real world, doesn't reward good intentions. It rewards power, control, and being clear. And when power is your goal, guilt is a problem you can't afford. This doesn't mean you never make things right. It means you do it quietly with a plan. You clean up the mess but never confess to making it. There is a reason powerful people rarely say sorry in public, because every word they say can and will be used against them. They understand something normal people don't. Apologies are not received with kindness. They are stored as weapons to use later. So before you ever say, "I'm sorry," stop, pause. Ask yourself, is this about solving the problem or giving them control? Will this raise my position or lower it? If it lowers it, stay quiet. Let them think, let them guess, let them chase you. Because the person who controls the silence controls the room. Machiavelli would never apologize without a plan, not because he was cruel, but because he understood. Once you apologize without strategy, you have already lost more than your pride. You have lost your power. When you can use an apology, while it is true that Machiavelli never made apologies a habit, he was not blind to reality. He understood that there are times, rare, specific moments, when an apology can be more than a sign of weakness. In these moments, an apology is not about admitting fault. It is about controlling the story, taking back your power, and shifting things in your favor. Let's be clear. Machiavelli was not some cold, emotionless man who never made mistakes. He knew that mistakes happen, but the key was not admitting them. It was using them to your advantage. to position yourself as the master of the situation, not the servant of guilt. In rare cases, an apology can become a smart move, a well-timed, calculated move to throw your enemies off balance. The moment you apologize with strategy, you not only control the situation but also change how people see it. You stop being the person who is in the wrong. You become the person who is bigger than the fight. You are above petty arguments. You change the whole way people see the conflict. Here is the important lesson. Strategic apologies are about how people see you, not about guilt. They are not about admitting fault. They are about setting yourself up for greater power later. And Machiavelli would teach you this. He would say, use apologies not as signs of weakness, but as tools to take back control. How to apologize strategically, for example, if your enemies are attacking you or your reputation is being questioned, a calculated apology can help control their attacks. Instead of continuing a damaging fight, you step back and offer a carefully planned apology. In doing so, you disarm them temporarily. You force them to change their approach. Your apology stops their attack. And by taking a brief step down, you create the appearance of being humble. But here is the trick. While they think they have cornered you, you have just gained valuable time to get your composure back, to change the story, and to take control again. The apology doesn't need to be heartfelt or emotional. It just needs to be calculated. This is how powerful people move. They never act out of desperation. Instead, they act from a place of control. Apologizing can give you that control, but only when it is done with purpose. Let's go deeper. There is also the art of the public apology. When you make a public apology, especially when you have been caught in a scandal, there is an expectation for you to crawl and beg. But not everyone understands this. Machiavelli would say, if you must apologize in public, do it on your terms. The key here is to apologize just enough without fully giving up your position. You don't apologize for the thing you did wrong. You apologize for the misunderstanding, the miscommunication, the reaction of others. You turn the tables. Instead of admitting wrongdoing, you place the blame on their perception, on their assumptions. Take note of this strategy in politics and business. When a public figure apologizes, it is rarely about admitting personal fault. It is about showing the world that they are above the situation. The apology is a performance, a well-written act designed to shift blame without losing power. It is a fine line between appearing humble and appearing weak, but with practice you will know how to strike that balance. Apology is to build alliances. An apology can also be a way of buying goodwill. Machiavelli understood the importance of building alliances, and sometimes that meant offering an apology as a way to reset a relationship. If you have wronged someone powerful, an apology can be a way to ease tensions and rebuild a bridge that leads to future advantage. But even then, you don't apologize because you feel guilty. So why'd you apologize? Because you recognize that the other person is a valuable asset, and a quick tactical apology can strengthen your position later. However, you should never apologize out of obligation to please others or because you fear losing favor. Those are signs of weakness. Machiavelli never feared losing favor. He knew that power could be gained and lost through perception. Apologies only work when they are part of a larger plan, a way to regain control or take back your dominance. They are never to be used for emotional release or to quiet your conscience. When used properly, an apology can be an act of manipulation. You can make someone think you have given up something when in fact you have only traded for time or gained an upper hand by making your opponents believe they have won. You have actually made sure that they have never truly beaten you. Instead, you have bought space to regroup and plan your next move. But remember, this only works if you know when to pull back and when to strike. If you apologize too early or too often, you will fall into the trap of weakness. The apology loses its power when it is overused. Always keep your apology rare, purposeful, and strategic. In the end, Machiavelli's wisdom on apologies is simple. Use them to maintain power. Never lose it. Your apology should never be an admission of guilt. It should be a tool for gaining advantage, rebuilding alliances, or shifting the power balance. Apologize when it serves you, and not a moment sooner. The danger of too many apologies, one of the most destructive habits you can have, is saying sorry too much. It is something we have all done at some point. Said sorry when we were not at fault, said sorry just to avoid a fight, or said sorry to get people to like us, but here is the truth. Apologizing too much is a direct path to weakness, and in the world of power, weakness gets you nowhere. Machiavelli understood this well. He recognized that an apology, when used without caution, lowers your value. It chips away at your authority, and in the brutal game of power, authority is everything. The problem with saying sorry too much is simple. It puts you in a position of submission. Think about it. Every time you say, "I'm sorry," you are offering up an admission of weakness. You are signaling that you have something to make up for, that you are not in control, and that you depend on the approval of others. This is the worst position to be in. When you apologize too frequently, people begin to expect it. They no longer see you as a strong, decisive person. Instead, they view you as someone who is quick to bend to others' wills, someone who lacks the strength to stand firm. Once you have built this reputation, it is almost impossible to shake off. And here is the kicker. It should not be about making yourself feel less guilty or more comfortable. It should not be a quick response to tension. Every apology should be calculated, purposeful, and designed to move your agenda forward. If your apology doesn't work for you, it works against you. Think about the people who rarely apologize. They don't need to. Their presence alone commands respect. When they do apologize, it is calculated, and people sit up and pay attention because they know it is not something that comes often. Their apology carries weight. It is not watered down by overuse. And that is the kind of power you want to build. Stand firm in your decisions. Machiavelli understood that the true master of power does not apologize unless absolutely necessary. They know that when you constantly apologize, you hand over control to others. You give up your position, even if just for a moment. In that moment of weakness, others will see an opportunity to rise above you. But the real danger lies in this. If you apologize too often, you begin to believe that you are always in the wrong. You become trapped in a cycle of trying to please everyone, always seeking to please, always trying to keep the peace, and never stepping into your own power. In the long run, this only serves to hurt your credibility and status. If you want to lead, to gain respect, to control the narrative, you must learn the art of holding back. Resist the urge to apologize for every little thing. Be strategic about your words and your actions. When you choose to speak, make every word count. When you choose silence, make it powerful. Never let an apology be a tool of submission. Let it be a weapon in your toolbox. Save for when it will move your position forward, not take away from it. If you want to be respected, never apologize unless it is part of a greater strategy. Apologies can be powerful, but they must be used like a blade. Sharp, calculated, and delivered with intent. Apologize when it suits you, not because it is expected of you. In the end, Machiavelli never feared the consequences of his actions, and neither should you. Stand firm in your decisions, own your choices, and let the world see that you are unshaken. When you are unafraid to stand by your actions, you will begin to build the kind of power that no apology could ever take away. Why not apologizing shows strength in the brutal game of power. Apologies can be a trap. They are easy to give, but the moment you say those words, you have lost a piece of your authority. When Machiavelli spoke of the importance of power, he understood the key to it was not just strength or control over others, but control over your own actions, emotions, and how people see you. To apologize is to show weakness, to expose vulnerability, and in a world where perception is everything, that is not something you can afford. When you apologize, what you are essentially doing is giving up emotional control. You admit guilt or error, but in doing so, you hand over the story. You are at the mercy of the one you are apologizing to, and you risk your credibility. Machiavelli's philosophy, however, was based on never being at the mercy of anyone but yourself. The powerful person does not react with guilt or regret. Instead, they make decisions based on calculation and purpose. So let's talk about what happens when you choose not to apologize. When you stand firm, you are not being arrogant or rude. You are asserting your dominance. You are creating an environment where others must adjust to your terms, not the other way around. And, let's face it, people respect strength, not apologies. By holding your ground, you force them to deal with you on your terms, whether they like it or not. They must either accept your position or face the consequences. Appearances matter more than reality. Take Machiavelli's principle. Appearances matter more than reality. When you refuse to apologize, you are not only showing strength, but you are also making a statement about who is in control. Whether it is in a business meeting, a negotiation, or any social situation, the person who does not apologize gives off confidence. They send a message that they do not need to bend to others' demands. This is power in its purest form. People will often try to manipulate you into apologizing, especially when they know it will cause you to lose your footing. They will try to make you feel guilty, question your actions, or shame you into submission. Do not fall for it. Machiavelli understood this well. Once you let someone corner you into an apology, you allow them to control the pace and direction of the interaction. It is a silent surrender. And once surrendered, you may never fully regain your position. Think about it. When someone else apologizes, it is often a sign of submission or explanation. But when you don't apologize, you take the lead. Even if others think you were in the wrong, your refusal to apologize makes them second-guess their position. They may wonder, why won't they apologize? What do they know that I don't? Your non-apology puts doubt in their minds. And that, my friends, is one of the most powerful tactics in the Machiavelli playbook. However, this does not mean you should never show any form of understanding in conflict. There is a time and place for an apology, but it must be used strategically. For example, you can offer an apology not for the sake of admitting fault, but to manipulate the situation to your advantage. An apology can be a tool of mind games. If you apologize, but it is only to push your opponent into a corner, making them owe you something or shift the power dynamic. Machiavelli understood that victories are won through perception and strategy, not through emotional compromise. Power is not about what is fair. It is about what you can get others to accept. And when you stand firm in your actions and never apologize, you make it clear that you control what is acceptable. You define the terms of the relationship and force others to adapt to your reality. Remember this. Don't apologize unless it strengthens your position. And if you do offer an apology, make sure it is calculated and serves your purpose. Machiavelli's genius was not just in knowing how to use power, but in understanding that power thrives on perception, control, and the refusal to compromise on your principles. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss a lesson in mastering power, influence, and the Machiavelli way of life. Stay sharp, stay strategic.